Hi, this is Ofori, the digital reader, and this is going to be a two-part series which I'm going to talk about bookstores, not ebook publishers or DRM-free ebook publishers. I'm going to be talking about bookstores. You know that I love to encourage bookstores and publishers to sell their books DRM-free, but the honest truth is 80% of the books out there are going to have DRM, and you're going to have to buy them from someplace. There's going to be book clubs and New York Times bestseller lists and booktuber recommendations of books that you and I are going to want to buy and read, because first and foremost we love reading, but those books are going to have DRM. Now, I don't buy my ebooks from Amazon anymore, mainly because currently there's no way for me to pull a DRM and back them up for my own personal storage. So this two-part series is going to take a brief look at kind of whittling down some of the big bookstores to the two that I use the most. In part one, I'm going to be talking about my second favorite bookstore, and then in part two, I'm going to be talking about my favorite bookstore. So going over the big players in the ebook bookstore world, you're going to have, of course, Amazon, the big dog in the group. Then you're going to have Barnes & Nobles. You are going to have Google Play Books. You're going to have Kobo. You're going to have Apple Books. You're going to have bookshop.org, which now has a way that you can go ahead and buy ebooks from them. And then you're going to have eBooks.com. So out of those 7, there are a couple I automatically knock out the running. And those are going to be bookstores that their DRM is proprietary to a particular e-reader or a particular piece of software that you have to have. So taking that into account, that automatically knocks out Amazon because you need the Kindle app or you need a Kindle. That automatically knocks out Barnes & Noble because you need the Nook app or a Nook device. Google Play Books is still in the running because it works on a wide range of Android devices, and it uses the Adobe Digital Editions DRM, which is widely transferable across different devices, websites, apps, and e-readers. Kobo is still in the running because it also uses the Adobe Digital Editions DRM. Apple Books is out of the running because their books only can be read on the actual iBooks app. So if you don't have the iBooks app, even if you have an Apple device, you can't read their books. Bookshop.org is also out of the running because their ebooks can only be read on their bookshop.org app. So they're out of the running. And eBooks.com is still in the running because it uses the Adobe Digital Editions DRM for their books. And if you notice a trend, I generally prefer, if I'm going to have to buy a book with DRM, Adobe Digital Editions, because it is the most widely transferable of the DRM systems that are currently out there. And so out of those 3 that I'm left with, I'm going to kick out Google Play Books, mainly just because they don't need my money, and Google Play Books to Google is just a sideline. I would prefer to give my money to ebook stores who are specializing and focusing in selling ebooks online, which would be Kobo and eBooks.com. Kobo does sell e-readers, but their e-readers aren't proprietary to the books that they sell, so they totally still qualify. Out of Kobo and eBooks.com, my favorite is eBooks.com, which I'll be talking about in part 2, and my second favorite is Kobo. They both have their pluses and minuses. I find for Kobo, I get better prices and I get their VIP membership. I find for eBooks.com, I get better filters and a wider library of available books. Although looking at everything empirically, I probably think Kobo is the better bookstore. They have better prices. Their interface is a little bit more intuitive. They have that VIP membership, and the price difference can be, depending on the book, as much as 30% different. For example, a book I was interested in, Train Spotting, is $13 on Kobo and $18 on eBooks.com. But the reason eBooks.com is my number one is not scientific. It's just kind of loyalty. eBooks.com has been doing it for over 20 years. They're just a website that I love giving my business to because they've been in that space so long. They've been successful. They have a wider range of books, and I just kind of have a little bit of loyalty to them. But if I had to recommend the best bookstore to somebody, it would probably be Kobo, unless the person was somebody who read in different languages. If that was the case, then it would still be eBooks.com. But for me, eBooks.com is my favorite, and Kobo is a strong second, and maybe one day might end up number one, but I don't think I'll ever stop buying books from eBooks.com. It's just a site that I want to keep in business, so I'm always going to throw them some of my business. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to Kobo. So I should mention before we get too deep into this is not a tutorial on Kobo. This is really me just showing you what I like about Kobo and maybe some things I think you might like about Kobo. So the first thing I'll start off with is what I kind of call Kobo's premium features. They have Kobo Plus, and Kobo Plus is basically Kindle Unlimited, but they allow you to choose both books and audiobooks, just books, or just audiobooks. I have to be honest, I'm not too hyped about this feature, mainly because the strength of Kindle Unlimited is their wide variety of exclusives and not just the books that you can get anywhere. Here, they don't have a ton of great exclusives. They don't have a huge library of books that people really are dying to read. It's fine. I feel like I would use Kobo Plus if I didn't follow a lot of book lists or booktubers or New York Times lists, and I just wanted to pick stuff that was good that I wanted to read. But this is definitely an option where you can try it for 30 days free and see if there's anything in there that is of interest to you. And if it is, check it out. Now, what I do like, and I have to re-sign up for it again because this is something I really enjoy. The main reason why I haven't re-signed up for it is because this is my second favorite bookstore, and so I don't buy as many books from here as I do from my favorite bookstore, which is eBooks.com. But eBooks.com doesn't have this feature, so I don't know, I might sign up again. And that's Super Points. And the way you get Super Points is with a Kobo VIP membership. If you're a person who's going to be buying ebooks and you're choosing not to use Amazon anymore and you use Kobo, you pretty much have to get this feature. And there's a reason why. For $10 a month, what you do is every time you buy a book, they give you a certain number of points. And as you build up points, you can redeem those points for certain books. And I'll show you when I showcase the book information that the books will tell you if they're eligible for this, and if they are, how many points you need to get the book without having to pay cash money. You also, for this $10 a year, get 10% off on over 2 million ebooks and audiobooks. So that's just a nice bonus. But the biggest bonus, and the reason why this is a must get, is you get to get one free ebook every year, and that pretty much pays for the cost of the VIP membership. So this is a really, really great membership. The other cool thing I like about the Kobo ebook store is over here, you can actually click and pull up your free ebooks. They have a whole host of free ebooks, a lot. I mean, they break them down by genre. So they have romance, suspense, mystery, and thriller. So they have a whole host of free ebooks, just a ton of them that you can look at. And their free ebooks, for the most part, are going to be DRM free, but Kobo breaks down the information in the book, so you'll always know ahead of time if a book is DRM free or not, which is also cool. Another thing that Kobo has, they don't really greatly advertise it, is that they have a bunch of DRM free books. Now, I'm including a link in my description that you can click to take you to all of the DRM free books that are on the US site. Basically, if you go to Google and you search Kobo DRM-Free, there'll be a couple places that can show you how to use this link. I'm putting it in the description. What I would recommend doing is you put in the link, and once you put in the link to the DRM free books, that you just go ahead and save the link. And one nice thing is when you save the link, it's not going to be gibberish. The link is actually going to be saved as DRM free ebooks. So they have a whole bunch of DRM free ebooks that you can choose from in all types of different genres. So that I also like. And the last piece that I really like about Kobo is their book information. So I'm going to pull up a book that I was going to buy. So I wanted to get Trainspotting by Irvine Welsh. And when you start to go down to information, you can see they have the page numbers. For me, I love it when they give the page number, because there are certain e-readers that you have to use percentage to get through the book. And if you're using percentage and you really want to know how many pages you've read for whatever reasons, you can use this and just do some simple math. It has accessibility status, and what this means is if a particular ebook has extra large type, if it has text to speech, those type of things, it'll include it in there. Also, if you go to the right and look down at the bottom right, you'll see it has the Kobo Super Points that you need to get this book without paying cash money for it. So this is 8,000, which is high, but this is a mainstream book. Typically, they run around 4,000. But still, if you have enough, you can get this book. And then once you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it has more useful information. It has the publisher, and it tells you whether it's a DRM or DRM free and what level of EPUB it is. There's EPUB 1, 2, and 3, and this is a EPUB 2. So that's always useful to know if it's an EPUB free book. So I'm going to go back up to the top. One other thing I should mention is when you go to your books, now I just buy books from here, so I don't use notebooks or collections or annotations or even the archives. That's because whenever I buy a book from here, I automatically download it, and it either goes into Adobe Digital Editions or it goes into Calibre. That's where I store it, so I don't really use these features that much. But still, if you look at the books, it'll show you all the books that you've purchased, and you can download the book. And just remember, sometimes when you're dealing with a DRM book, especially if it's Adobe Digital Editions, it might download the link as an ACSM, and that's basically going to be a link to the book. If you check out my overview of Adobe Digital Editions, I talk about this a little bit more, but basically that's a link to get the book you paid for from Adobe Digital Editions. So you either have to put this link into Adobe Digital Editions and Adobe Digital Editions will get the book, or open this link up using Calibre, and then Calibre will not only get the book but pull the DRM off of it. So that's Kobo. I feel like if you're a person who doesn't want to use Amazon anymore, then you could absolutely use Kobo for everything except the Amazon exclusives. And if you have a wish list that has a bunch of Amazon exclusives, then I would say maybe 1 or 2 months a year you sign up for Amazon Unlimited and just read nothing but those exclusives, and then cancel it after a couple months. And then you're back on track, and you can just continue to use Kobo for all the other books that are out there. They have all the popular books, all the books you're going to hear on BookTube, all the books that are going to be New York Times bestseller type books. All those books are going to be in here, and generally their prices are going to be very, very competitive to Amazon, and they're going to have some good deals on books. So that's the Kobo bookstore. Hopefully you'll find this is a good alternative to Amazon if you're tired of getting books from them. And this is Ofori, the digital reader, and keep reading.